Voice is clear to all. Is my voice is audible?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So today, we will continue the discussion that where we stopped our discussion in the last class. Okay. So can you remember what are the things that we discussed in the last class? Yes. Any idea about where we stopped our discussion in the last class?
Decomposition potential.
Very good. So we started the discussion on decomposition potential, but earlier to that we have discussed about one of the very important aspect of this particular thing, that is called as what is that? Polarization. Okay, and anyway we all know that we all came to know that what is polarization, and what is the consequence of polarization for the electroplating, that we already understood. Okay, so polarization is simply represented by means of the change of electrode potential from its equilibrium value. Okay, so if the electrode potential changes from its equilibrium value because of either the change in the temperature or maybe because of change in the concentration of the metal ion, that will result in the electrode potential to change, and that phenomena is called as polarization. And the consequence of that polarization is electroplating will be done in order to get the very good quality coating, but if there is polarization, the quality of the coating will becomes poor. Okay, so that you may not expect a good quality coating whenever there is polarization. That's why our aim is to minimize the polarization during electroplating, and as we all know that that can be done whenever you are maintaining the same metal ion concentration in the bath, and that can be done when you do the electroplating by taking similar metal as the anode. That is something we have learned about polarization, and after that we started the discussion on decomposition potential also. Okay, anyway, we all know that what is decomposition potential. The name itself says the decomposition potential is nothing but it is the minimum voltage that you have to pass in order to do the electrolysis of any electrolyte. The name itself says the decomposition potential is nothing but it is the minimum potential you have to pass to any electrolyte in order to do the electrolysis continuously. It means that whenever you want to do the electrolysis of anything, remember, it may be water, it may be hydrochloric acid, it may be copper sulfate, it may be zinc sulfate or anything. If you want to do the electrolysis, qualitatively you have to supply a particular voltage. So how much minimum voltage, or what is the minimum voltage you have to pass in order to do the electrolysis of the particular electrolyte continuously? Remember that particular voltage is referred by the term that is called as decomposition potential. So we can able to get one thing in our mind, that unless we don't supply the decomposition potential, remember, we don't expect the electrolysis continuously. But you may ask the question that, sir, whether the electrolysis will not at all start happen or not. See, definitely, for any particular voltage you are going to supply, there will be electrolysis. But unless the potential that what you supplied is not equal to the decomposition potential, remember, the electrolysis will not happen continuously. If you want to do the electrolysis of electrolyte continuously, you need to supply a particular minimum voltage. So that particular voltage is called as the decomposition potential. If you say the definition is clear to all of you, so that I can move further. So just by looking at this particular thing, what I can able to say, there is some electrolyte here, and there are two electrode, and there is a battery. Probably you can understand here. Okay, there is one electrolyte, and there are two electrode, and there is a battery. And from the battery, what I'm going to do, I'm going to supply some amount of voltage, or some amount of electricity I'm going to supply, and because of that, there will be electrolysis. Okay, so there will be electrolysis. But if you want to say the electrolysis should happen continuously, from the battery I need to supply a minimum voltage, particular voltage. If the supplied voltage is not equal to that particular voltage, you don't expect the electrolysis to happen continuously. Okay, if you want to do the electrolysis of any electrolyte continuously, remember, you have to supply a minimum voltage. the minimum voltage that what you are going to pass in order to do the electrolysis of any electrolyte continuously. Remember that particular voltage is called as decomposition potential. Okay, and now after getting the idea, so I hope you all learned about the decomposition potential. Any doubt about the definition? Yes, tell me. Any doubts about the definition of decomposition voltage? You got the idea about decomposition voltage? Yes, really. You got the definition of, you got the idea about decomposition voltage?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So once we know about the value, so now I will tell you some more thing. Remember, even though I said the decomposition voltage is a minimum voltage, and now I will tell you it's a characteristic property of particular electrolyte. So it means that different electrolytes are said to be having the different decomposition potential value. Okay, so if you take water, it will be having one decomposition potential. If you take hydrochloric acid, it will be having different decomposition potential, and copper sulfate is having one, and zinc sulfate is having another. Like that, different electrolytes are said to be having the different decomposition potential. It means that whenever you want to do the electrolysis of any different electrolyte, you have to supply a particular voltage. Okay, so now just for your understanding purpose, I will give you the decomposition potential of 3 electrolyte. Remember, so one electrolyte is said to be, let us say, copper sulfate. The value of decomposition potential is equal to 1.6, and that for zinc sulfate, the value of ED is equal to 2.5. So ED nothing but what? It's a decomposition potential. Okay, so for copper sulfate it is equal to 1.6, and for zinc sulfate it is equal to 2.5. And further, one more thing I will tell you. For water, the decomposition potential is equal to 1.23 volt. Remember, see, these 3 things at least you need to remember, because it is very difficult to remember the decomposition potential of all the electrolyte. But at least we need to remember the decomposition potential of at least 1 or 2, so that we can able to do something. Okay, so now what I am telling, 1.23. What is 1.23? Anybody? So 1.23 is the decomposition potential of water. Remember, 1.23 volt is the decomposition potential of water. Similarly, 1.6 is for copper sulfate, and 2.5 is for zinc sulfate. I already told that the decomposition potential is different for different electrolyte, and thereby I have given 3 example for this. One is water, that's equal to 1.23. Copper sulfate is equal to 1.6, and zinc sulfate is equal to 2.5 volt. Okay, so now tell me, what do you mean by this 1.23 volt? Anybody? What idea you will get just by looking at the value of this 1.23? What you can able to understand? Yes, tell me. What is that 1.23? What that signifies? I told that the decomposition potential of water is equal to 1.23. For copper sulfate it is 1.6, and for zinc sulfate it is equal to 2.5. So now the question is, what do you mean by that 1.23? Tell me, what is that 1.23? Really, nothing will happen even if you give any wrong answer.
Voltage, I think.
Yeah, it is the voltage. 1.23 is the voltage. So that means 1.23 is the minimum voltage you have to apply when you want to do the electrolysis of water continuously. Remember, when you want to do the electrolysis of water continuously, you need to supply how much? 1.23 volt. So if you do not supply 1.23 volt, remember, you don't expect the electrolysis of water to happen continuously. Okay, so like that, if you want, okay, now tell me, what is this 1.6? What is this 1.6 for copper sulfate? Tell me. Really, what is that 1.6?
It is the minimum amount of voltage which has to be supplied to carry out continuous electrolysis in copper.
Of what? Yes, very good. So it means whenever you want to do the lysis of copper sulfate. If you want to do the electrolysis continuously, remember you have to supply how much? 1.6 volt. If you do not supply 1.6 volt, see, you don't expect continuous electrolysis of copper sulfate. So that is the idea of decomposition potential. And similarly, if you want to do the continuous electrolysis of zinc sulfate, so that you have to supply minimum 2.5 volt. Okay, that is something. And how to determine the decomposition potential means it is very simple. Let us say, just I have showed this particular image. Let us say there is a cell, and in the cell you need to take the electrolyte whose decomposition potential you have to find out. Remember, try to understand this. See, you have to take a container or the cell in which you have to take the solution whose decomposition potential you have to determine. Let us say here in this case our electrolyte is said to be water. I don't know what is the decomposition potential of water. Simply I have taken water and then I have placed 2 platinum electrode. I have taken water and I have placed 2 platinum electrode, and from the battery I started supplying the voltage. Let us say like this. So if you start supplying the voltage, if you can able to see this particular graph, I have recorded the current versus voltage. Okay, started from 0, and I have started applying the voltage like this. For every voltage we need to supply current. Okay, so it is the graph of it is the measurement of current with respect to voltage. Let us say if you start the supply of voltage from 0 to some value like this, see, what one can able to say is there is electrolysis, because I already told that even if you do not supply decomposition potential, there will be some minimum electrolysis, but the electrolysis will not happen continuously. So that the same thing you can see in this particular graph. You'll notice same thing you are seeing in this particular graph. See, we are increasing the voltage, and correspondingly we are measuring the current. But there is some increase in the current, but the increase is not continuous. See, that will happen up to certain extent. Let us say if you still supply the current if you still supply the voltage at one particular value of this voltage, see, what I am observing is there is continuous increase in the current is happening. Okay, so in this graph, what we are seeing, we are increasing the voltage and subsequently we are measuring the current. Even if you are doing that, see, there is no steep rise in the current is happening up to certain extent, but after you applied a particular voltage, what we are observing is there is continuous increase in the current. Okay, now let us say if we extrapolate this particular straight line to this voltage axis, we will get one particular value. That particular value is called as the decomposition voltage, because I already told that decomposition voltage is the minimum voltage you have to pass in order to do the continuous electrolysis of electrolyte. I hope this graph is clear to all of you, right? So here is the voltage where there is electrolysis is happening continuously. Okay, continuously the electrolysis is happening, and that voltage where the electrolysis will happen continuously, remember that particular voltage is called as decomposition potential. Okay, so now can you tell me, if this is for water, then what will be the value you supposed to be written here? What you can able to write at this particular place? See, just you remember, follow this cursor mark. So how much value one can able to write here? Yes,
1.23.
very good. So 1.23. So it means that you have started from 0 and up to 1.23. You have not observed the continuous increase in the current, but when the supplied voltage is equal to 1.23, we are observing that there is continuous increase in the current is happening. And this is the way how the decomposition potential of any electrolyte can be possible to measure. So for example, if the electrolyte is said to be copper sulfate, and if you plot the graph, then this value will be equal to how much? 1.6 volt. Okay, and similarly, if you take zinc sulfate in the container and placed platinum electrode and supplied voltage from the battery, and corresponding to every voltage, if you observe the current, when the voltage supplied is equal to 2.5, then there is continuous increase in the current will happen. This is the way how the decomposition potential of any electrolyte can be possible to measure. I hope now the concept is clear to all of you, that how the decomposition potential can be measured. Same thing I have given even in my notes also. This is the way how one can able to get the decomposition potential. Is it clear? Artha aita ellarigu idu? Is this concept is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let us say in this container, if you have, two electrolyte, one is said to be copper sulfate and second is said to be zinc sulfate. Okay. So anyway, both the electrolyte need to be dissolved in water. Then what are the component present in the container? One is said to be water, second is said to be copper sulfate, and third one is said to be zinc sulfate. Now the question is, if you okay, now what are the ions which are having in the solution? Cations, tell me. One is water, second is copper sulfate, and the third one is said to be zinc sulfate. Then in such a case, what are the cations present in the solution? Can you tell me? Which are the cations that are present here? If you dissolve copper sulfate and zinc sulfate in water, then what are the cations that will be present near to the cathode surface?
CO2 plus Z.
Copper and zinc.
Yes. Yes. See, there are three ions may be present. One is copper 2 plus, second is Zn2 plus, and the third one is said to be H plus. Okay, these are the three ions that are present. Now remember, so when you have copper sulfate and zinc sulfate, so if you pass the voltage, see, because in the first class I told that whenever the electrolyte contain one salt, you can able to do the deposition of that. And if the electrolyte contain more than one salt, if you supply the current, then simultaneously there will be deposition of both copper sulfate, copper as well as the zinc. But now the question is, after we get the knowledge about decomposition potential, if the solution contain copper sulfate and zinc sulfate, can you selectively deposit only copper from the solution? Do you understand my question? Yes. So can you selectively deposit copper even though solution contains zinc sulfate?
Yes, sir.
Definitely yes. How?
Because decomposition potential of copper is less than decomposition potential of zinc. So,
very good, very good. So it means that when you supply the voltage, that is equal to 1.6 volt. Okay, because the decomposition potential of copper sulfate and zinc sulfates are different. If you supply the voltage corresponding to only copper sulfate, then even though solution contain copper sulfate and zinc sulfate, selectively you can do the deposition of only copper. Selectively you can do the deposition of only copper, leaving behind zinc as such. Zinc sulfate will not undergo electrolysis because the supplied voltage is not sufficient to do the electrolysis of zinc sulfate. That's why selectively we can do the deposition of copper even though solution contain copper as well as zinc. Okay. Now, if you want to, okay, now let us say if the supplied voltage is 2.5, then what happens? If the supplied voltage is 2.5 volt, then what happens? Yes, Eli. If the supplied voltage is 2.5 volt, then what happens? When you supply the voltage that is equal to 1.6, then there is only electrolysis of copper sulfate, so that only copper is going to get deposited. But if the supplied voltage is more than 2.5 volt, then what happens?
Electrolysis of both the
Deposition of
metals.
zinc.
Okay, so it means that simultaneously both copper and zinc is going to deposit, and thereby we can able to expect the coating of alloys. Got it? So there will be simultaneous deposition of copper and zinc, so that we can able to say there is coating of alloys. Okay, so this is the advantage of the decomposition potential or the decomposition voltage. So what is the what do you mean by decomposition voltage? It is the minimum voltage you have to pass in order to do the electrolysis of electrolyte continuously, and it is a characteristic property, and different electrolytes are said to be having different decomposition voltage. And further, the decomposition voltage helps in selective deposition of one metal from the solution which contain more than one metal salt. Is it clear? Artha aithe ellarigu? No? Is this concept is clear?
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Okay, shall I move further?
Yes, sir.
Okay, as I told, the three concepts need to be discussed is said to be polarization, decomposition potential, and over voltage. So now the next concept is said to be, the over voltage. Okay. Anyway, just by looking at the term, the decomposition potential, you told that what is the decomposition potential and what is the advantage. Okay. So by hearing this particular thing, it is called as, see, don't go through this particular definition, just you look at this term over voltage. So decomposition voltage already finished, and now we are dealing with the over voltage. Now tell me, what do you mean by that over voltage, or what idea you supposed to expect by looking at the term? By looking at the term decomposition voltage, we all got the idea that decomposition voltage is the voltage which you have to pass to do the decomposition. Now, can you get any idea by hearing this term, over voltage?
We required
Over-
a more voltage.
Yeah.
We required more voltage.
Yes. Over voltage represents something extra. Okay. So over represents what? Something extra or something excess. Okay. That is called as, over. Okay. So it means that there is something extra we are going to supply, and that particular voltage is called as over voltage. See, now I will show that over voltage by this particular graph only. Anyway, we all know that this is the graph corresponding to the measurement of decomposition voltage. See, now I will tell you. Remember, I told that the decomposition voltage is a characteristic property of what? Tell me. Decomposition potential is a characteristic property of. Yes, decomposition voltage is a characteristic property of what? Particular electrolyte. It means that wherever you go, whenever you want to do the electrolysis of water, wherever you go and whenever you want to do the electrolysis of water, so what is the value, what is the voltage you have to supply? Tell me. If you want to do the electrolysis of water, how much?
1.23.
Yeah, very good. It is.
1.23.
Yes, it is 1.23. Remember. Okay, anyway, you know that. But now I will tell you one more thing. Remember, even though decomposition potential is a characteristic property, but remember, it varies with respect to nature of electrode. I told that, the water is taken and the platinum electrodes are inserted, and on the platinum electrode, now remember, on the platinum electrode, the value of decomposition voltage for water is equal to 1.23 volt. Okay, so only, see, water undergo electrolysis at 1.23 whenever the electrodes are said to be platinum. If the electrodes are other than platinum, then it does not undergo electrolysis at 1.23. Remember, earlier I told that 1.23 is the voltage, but now what I am telling, this 1.23 is only with respect to platinum electrode, and if you change the electrode from platinum to any other, then automatically the value is going to change. Now let us say, if I go to this particular graph, let us just imagine this is the graph for the measurement of decomposition voltage for water. Let us say this is the graph for platinum. Okay, if you assume this is the graph for platinum, then what would be the value you can able to expect here? Yes, what is the voltage at which we will expect this to happen with water on platinum electrode?
1.23.
Very good, very good.
1.23.
Very good. It is 1.23. Now what I will do, in the same electrolyte, let us say in the same electrolyte, if I can able to say this, in the same electrolyte, let us say this one, water is there and the platinum electrodes are changed with lead electrode or anything. Just for our understanding purpose, I will take lead. Okay, so earlier platinum was the electrode. Now what I did, I have changed platinum to lead. Okay, then I connected both the electrode to the external battery. Then I started supplying the current. If you start supply the current for water, if you start supply the current for water on the lead electrode, what happens? The same thing will happen. That means if you start measuring the voltage with respect to current, probably this is the nature of graph you can expect. But see, the electrolysis is happening. Sorry, the electrolysis is happening not exactly at the value where it happened with respect to platinum, but it will happen like this. Let us say I am doing what? Electrolysis of water, not with the platinum, but with respect to lead, and I am applying the voltage, and correspondingly I am measuring the current. If you do that, this is the nature of graph you are expecting. See, this is the way how the electrolysis happened. Okay, this is the way how the electrolysis happened. And after that, if you just extrapolate this, to the voltage axis, probably you can expect the value here. Okay, you can expect the value here. See, you can expect the value here. So now what you can able to say here, what is this value? Tell me, what is this? Ilodi, what is this? So the nature of graph is said to be almost the same, but in one case we got the EMF at 1.23. But here what happened with respect to lead? See, the first graph is for platinum and the second graph is for lead metal. So for lead metal, what happened here? Whether the electrolysis happened at 1.23?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, electrolysis does not happen at 1.23, but remember it happened at 1.7 volt. Remember it happened at 1.7 volt. Okay, just I will write one thing here. See, okay, yeah, here it happened at how much? 1.23. So 1.23 is with respect to lead metal. But 1.23 is with respect to platinum, but with respect to lead electrode, it happens at 1.7 volt. Okay, it happened at 1.7 volt. Okay, so now what you can able to say, on platinum, it happened at 1.23, but with respect to lead, it happened at 1.7. So above 1.2, we applied some extra voltage. That's why I told that over voltage represents what? Something excess, something extra. So with respect to platinum, it happened at 1.23, but with respect to lead, it happened at 1.7. So above 1.23, we applied some excess voltage. So how much excess voltage we supplied with respect to lead metal? Remember that excess voltage is called as over voltage. Is it clear? That excess voltage is called as over voltage. So now how to determine the over voltage for this metal means it is by means of this particular equation. See, over voltage is equal to experimental ED minus theoretical ED. Okay, see here I have given this particular thing. If you can able to read this, electrolysis of water occurs on platinum electrode at 1.23, which is the theoretical EMF. But for the same water, it occurs at 1.7 volt with respect to lead electrode. Electrolyte is said to be same, but only thing we changed the metal. Earlier it was platinum, but now it is lead. So with respect to platinum, we observed at 1.23, but with respect to lead, we observed at 1.7. Okay, above 1.23, we have supplied some excess voltage, extra voltage, and that extra voltage is called as over voltage. Okay, so how to determine the over voltage means by means of this formula. Over voltage is equal to experimental ED minus theoretical ED. This is the way how the over voltage can be measured. Over voltage is equal to experimental ED minus theoretical ED. So for lead metal, how it can be calculated means this is the way. Okay, see, that's for lead electrode, over voltage is equal to experimental ED. Experimentally, at what value we observed the electrolysis? It happened at 1.7. And theoretical value for the same watt is equal to 1.23. Remember, it comes to be around 0.47 volt. Okay, so what is this 0.47 volt? Tell me. What is this 0.47 volt? Tell me.
Over
Over
voltage.
voltage.
Yeah, 0.47
Over
is the over voltage of what?
Water.
No, not water. Over voltage
Lead.
for
Electrolysis of
For
lead
lead.
electrode.
electrolysis
Lead.
of
Over
lead.
voltage for lead electrode. See, it does not mean that 0.47 is the voltage where there will be electrolysis. Am I correct? 0.47 is not the voltage where there will be electrolysis, but 0.47 is the extra voltage that you have to apply above 1.23. So the minimum voltage will be 1.23, and above that 1.23, how much extra you are going to supply in order to do the electrolysis, then that voltage is called as over voltage. Now then what is the over voltage for platinum electrode? Then it should be 0, because with respect to platinum, the experimental voltage and theoretical voltage will be remains the same, so that only with respect to platinum electrode it's equal to 0. This is the way how you can able to know about the over voltage. I hope the concept is clear to all of you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, So, yeah, can anybody define the term over voltage? Yes, with this knowledge, can anybody define what is over voltage?
The extra voltage that we have to apply above the decomposition potential.
For
Electrolysis.
Yeah, for electrolysis to happen continuously, it is the, as your friend said, you know, the over voltage is the extra voltage you have to apply above the theoretical decomposition potential value in order to do the electrolysis continuously. Remember that the particular thing is called as, you know, over voltage. So with this, you know, we completed our discussion on three very important aspects. One is called as polarization, second is called as decomposition voltage, and the third is called as over voltage. Okay, so that is something, and definitely, you know, it may be a part for your examination also. Okay, so in several time, you know, the same question was asked for 6 to 7 marks. You know, this particular image represents how the hydrogen and oxygen is liberating whenever you are doing the electrolysis of water. Okay, electrolysis of water. So same thing here also we have given. Okay, theoretical decomposition is 1.23, but experimentally it happens at 1.7, and 0.47 is the over voltage for lead electrode. Okay, so now with this, you know, almost we completed the basic thing with respect to this. And the next thing we need to consider as per the syllabus is said to be, you know, the characteristics of coating. It may not be a more important from the point of exam. Just I will read this. You know, what should be the coating characteristic? Because, you know, we are doing electroplating. What for? We are doing electroplating. What for? Yes, we are doing electroplating for
Metal finishing.
Yeah, anyway, it is metal finishing, but why to do electroplating? What for?
Reducing corrosion.
Yeah, it is to reduce corrosion, and another thing is for decorative purpose. Okay, because I told that there are so many advantages of, you know, what I can say, electroplating, but the two major advantages of electroplating are, one is said to be to increase the corrosion resistance, and the second is to enhance the decorative property. If you want to use for anything, you know, coating must possess at least this quality. Remember, it must be uniform. That means the coating should be uniform. So, and the second is the coating should be very well adhered to the surface. It means the coating should be, there is a good bonding between the coating and the metal. And the third one is the coating must be bright or lustrous in appearance. Okay, remember, when the coating possesses all these three qualities, one is it should be uniform, second is it should be very well adhered to the surface, and the third one is it should be bright in nature. When the coating possesses all these qualities, remember, then we can able to say that, you know, the electroplated articles are said to be with superior qualities. Because I already told that, you know, the electroplating is a superior technique. Why the electroplating is said to be superior? Because, you know, the coating is said to be uniform, it is very well adhered to the surface, and the coating should be bright or lustrous in appearance. Okay, so that's about something you need to know about what should be the coating quality. Whenever your electroplated articles possess all these three qualities, remember, it can be used for varieties of the application. Okay, that is the one thing. So that means what? Coating should be uniform. So if you can able to see this particular slide, so that you can able to again understand that, you know, this is the electroplating procedure that I will tell you a little later. And if you see this particular surface, you know, the coating is uniform. Second is there is a very good bonding between the coating and the object, and the third one is the coated object is appearing like, you know, bright. So whenever the surface is having all these quality, remember, it can be used either for the decorative purpose or for the corrosion resistance application. In so many cases, we can able to make use of this particular technology. Okay, so that is one thing. I hope now again the concept is clear, right? So the coating should be uniform and it is very well bonded, and the third one is it should be bright or lustrous in appearance. Okay, see, all these things may not be needed for you because it is not a part of your syllabus. And now let us say, yeah, now, you know, with this we will start further discussion on this. See, the next thing what we need to know as per the syllabus is, you know, case studies. Let us say, if you want to do the, whenever you want to do the electroplating of any particular metal, Remember, the first of all, the metals should be subjected for pre-treatment. The metal must be subjected for pre-treatment. Anyway, you all have the idea about what is pre-treatment. Anybody? If you want to do the electroplating, the object should be subjected for pre-treatment. What do you mean by pre-treatment? You know, the term pre-treatment may not be new thing to all of you, because already in the discussion of corrosion science also we learned something about pre-treatment, right? Can you tell me what is pre-treatment? Why to do pre-treatment?
Removing the impurities on the surface of electrode.
Yes, very good. So it means that whatever may be the metal finishing, it may be galvanization, it may be anodization, it may be electroplating. Remember, the surface of the object should be uniform. It means that, you know, there should not be any roughness, there should not be any oil or wax, or there should not be any rust that is present on the surface. And the process by means of which all these things can be removed. That means how to remove the organic impurity like oil, grease, how to remove the inorganic matter like oxide scale, how to remove the roughness. So the procedure involved in making your object surface to become free from all these things is called as, you know, pre-treatment. And even in the during electroplating also we have to do the pre-treatment procedure. See, just if you can able to read this, you can able to understand. Before subjecting the object for electroplating, the object must be cleaned. The object must be cleaned and it should be free from all impurities and irregularities. Okay. So the first method of pre-treatment is called as mechanical treatment. Okay, it is called as mechanical treatment. What do you mean by this mechanical treatment? Anyway, you all know about, you know, silicon carbide paper. Anybody seen the silicon carbide papers? You know, commonly it is referred by the term that is called as salt paper. I hope now you can able to get the point, right? So silicon carbide paper or salt paper. Have you seen the salt paper? Salt paper or silicon carbide paper, that is mainly used to rub the metal surface so that to make the surface of the object to become smooth. Okay, so probably in so many industrial application, in the construction field, in several cases we come across, you know, that salt paper or silicon carbide paper. Remember, that can be used. See, let us say the object surface must be smooth and can be done either by grinding wheel or by using silicon carbide paper or salt paper. That means you have to take the object and that surface of the object should be rubbed with silicon carbide paper. And if you rub the surface of the object with respect to silicon carbide paper, you can say that wherever there is some roughness is there on the surface, that can be made into smooth. Artha? Is it clear? Is my voice is clear?
Yes, sir.
Is my voice is audible?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Gotaita, what I did about mechanical treatment, it is just by taking the object and rubbing the surface of the object with respect to sandpaper, so that sandpaper or salt paper, so that you can able to remove the roughness, so that the object surface will become smooth. That is one additional technique. And anyway, you all know about pickling process. Gagana Matad. Gagana, are you there? Gagana. Manoj. Gagana. Do you know about pickling anyway, right? Pickling gottidella. What is pickling? You know, during galvanization also we have undertaken that pickling process. Anybody? Pickling. First, see, now what I did, I have removed the roughness. I have made the surface into smooth. Second technique is called as, you know, pickling. So it means that the object which you want to do the electroplating, it is to be dipped. It is to be dipped in the container which contain, you know, HCl or sulfuric acid. 1:1 HCl or sulfuric acid, and thereby whatever the rust present on the surface, it can be possible to remove. Remember, the surface of the object must be free from oxide scale and can be done by removed by immersing the object in either 1:1 HCl or 1:1 sulfuric acid, so that you can able to remove the rust. And the third one is I want to remove the organic matter. So now two steps over. One is mechanical treatment and the second is called as pickling. And the third step is I want to remove the organic matter. How to remove? Any idea? Let us say if there is some oil or grease present on the surface, how we can able to remove that? Yes. How I can able to remove that? Nenp madkolbeku, because already we have discussed all this during galvanization. You know, during galvanization, first the object is dipped in the organic solvent bath in order to remove the organic matter. Then the second stage is dipping the object in pickling bath, so to remove the oxide scale. Then it is dipped in the flux, and then it is going to be dipped in the molten zinc container. Then it is dipped in the molten zinc container. Yes or no? So now tell me, if the surface is containing some oil or grease, then how you can able to remove that oil or grease before the electroplating? Tell me. Yes. I want to remove the oil or grease from the surface. How I can able to do that? ನೆನಪಿಲ್ಲ, ಏನು ಇಲ್ಲ, ಓದ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ನೀವು. Yes. How to remove the oil that may be present on the surface? ನೆನ್ಪು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ರಿ. It can be removed by dipping the object in the organic solvent bath. Okay, it can be done by dipping the object in the organic solvent bath. So by that we can able to remove the organic impurity that is present on the surface. Illodi, just I will again show that particular image, that what we discussed during, you know, galvanization, right? Illodi, so you can just understand and remember. Illodi, see, this is the one that what we discussed during galvanization. Yes or no? So degreasing, so removal of oil or grease by dipping in organic solvent. Pickling, by immersing the object in the 1:1 HCl or sulfuric acid. Then flux, same thing. See here, you know, the object is dipped in the molten zinc container, and it's also called as metal finishing. And during electroplating also, all these things need to be done. So we have to remove the oil or grease, we have to remove the oxide, and we have to make the surface to become smooth. And after that we have to do the electroplating. Yes or no? All these things are called as, you know, pre-treatment procedure. So just I will read. First technique is called as mechanical treatment. So we have to make the surface to become smooth. Second is called as pickling, so that we can remove the oxide scale. Third one is removal of organic impurities by dipping the object in the organic solvent bath. And after that, finally, when you do all this, finally the object is given water wash, and then it can be made as cathode and subjected for electroplating process. When you do all these things, then the object is made as cathode. Object is made as cathode, and then it is subjected for electroplating process. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. When you do all this pre-treatment, then you are going to make your object as cathode, and then it is subjected for electroplating process. Okay. So now, you know, we left with only one case study, and that I will do in the next class. That is called as electroplating of chromium, and that we will consider in the next class topic. Okay. So this is the way how the electroplating of chromium will be done, and that we will discuss in the next class. Okay. So any doubts up to this discussion? Okay. So what about your preparation for the third test? Already I told that, you know, third, fourth, first test, third, fourth, and fifth is the test dates. Okay. Corrosion science is the topic, and electrochemistry and battery module first complete, and in the second module it is only corrosion science. So there are three components for the test. One, the electrochemistry, second battery, third one is corrosion science. Okay. Yeah. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Otherwise, you can mention your name and USN in the chat box, so that I will take the attendance. Okay, those who have mentioned your name and USN, you can leave the meeting so that I will stop the class.